job, she was your senator. And we came here, to the state fair every year. And I got to meet with your farmers, and that's the only time they ever asked me to do anything. Because I grew up in a farming state, and I had fascinating conversations about that. And I've probably consumed more dinosaur barbecue than anyone. So, Mayor Minor, thank you for welcoming me back to one of my favorite places in the world. I also want to tell you that there's another one of your native sons that I'm very close to, and you should be very proud of Terry McCall. She's doing a great job. Now, I've already learned something. Since I've been here, I was standing back there with Dan, listening to Abby talk. And I said, Dan, she's really good. And he said, yeah, she's a lot younger than I am, and she just got it. I think the good mark of any successful public official is that he overmarried. I certainly did. And now I've got 3 women in my family that are going to put me in the shade. I had this son-in-law, and for 4 priceless years, for the first time since our daughter was born, the men and women were equally balanced. And then our granddaughter came into the world, and actually one of my Republican friends, the second President Bush, said the most important thing you have to remember is that once you get a grandchild, you are the lowest person in the family. So now look, I just had a grandchild, and I just went to my 50th high school reunion, and I'm not mad at anybody. I'd be lost as a duck in a hailstorm in this election with all these negative ads, it's hard to keep up with the players. But here's what I want to tell you. Most important thing is that you vote, and the only way you can get other people to vote is if they understand what this election is about and what the stakes are. And I was joking with a bunch of my high school classmates. I think every one of my high school reunions but one. Once I sent our troops into harm's way to protect Kosovo and keep it from becoming a place of ethnic cleansing, and I thought it was inappropriate to go. Otherwise, I'd go to all of them. And I'd followed the trajectory of my friends' lives. We were sitting around talking at my reunion, and I said, you know that people have been trying to sell us stuff for 60 years. And they were laughing and said, what do you mean? I said, we started watching television. Most of us didn't get a TV when we were 8 or 10 years old. I said, that's what all those advertisements are. They're trying to sell us something. And now that I'm out of the White House and I answer my own phone, I get these kind of automated calls and they're trying to sell me stuff, right? Drives you nuts, doesn't it? I mean, there it is. And every now and then somebody will come to the door and knock on the door and they'll try to sell me something. Here's what I've learned. Whenever someone who's trying to sell me something tries to get me to stop thinking, they do not have my best interest at heart. Whenever somebody who's trying to sell me something invites me to have a conversation with them and gives me the freedom to disagree, I'm more likely to agree. And you consider this massive national effort by the other party to defeat our members of Congress, our senators, our government. If they really trusted us, they would say, okay, I'm running against the MFA. He's for the minimum wage increase, and I'm against it. And here's why. He's for lowering college loan interest rates and making it easy to repay, and I think we ought to raise the rates. And here's why. He's for investing more in early childhood education and in making it easier to get both academic and technical education so we can train people for the jobs that are actually open in America. And I think we'd be better off giving tax cuts to higher income people, and here's why. Now you know why you don't see any of those ads, don't you? because they couldn't win those arguments. So in the places where the president's approval rating is low, they just run against him. I was in Kentucky the other night, and they spent $50 million for negative ads against our candidate for the Senate. And she said they've actually spent $50 million trying to put the president's name on the ballot. But when you get in that polling place, I'll still be standing. And what we need to be doing is what is right for our people and what is right for the country. What we need to do is to remember that being a member of the House of Representatives is a job. And the job is to vote and work to rebuild this economy in a way that it grows the middle class, gives working people a chance to improve their incomes, gives poor people a chance to work their way into it. That works better than trickle down. And I don't know anymore whether anybody can convince anybody of anything. And I know that unlimited amounts of just negative drumbeat have got everybody down. But here's what I want you to know. And I'm not running for anything anymore. But I understand something about the economy. I hope you think that's true. And this is how you ought to make your decision. We had a terrible thing happen to us on September 15, 2008, when that financial crash happened. And we weren't in great shape before then. On the day before that crash, median income, the one in the middle, median family income adjusted for inflation, was already lower than it was the day I left office. And 90% of the gains of the first decade of this new century had gone to 10% of us, 45% to just 1% of us the day before the crash. Now, these financial crises are terrible. People are scared to loan money. People are scared to borrow money. People are scared to spend money. Everything just sort of shrivels up and people get into a crouch. And you have to work your way out of it. On average, over the last 150 years, this is very important. On average, over the last 150 years, in the United States and other wealthy countries, it has taken 10 years for countries just to get back to where they were the day before the crash. It is 10 years to recover the same number of jobs they had and begin again. In America, we got back last month, 6 years after the crash. We recovered our jobs, and we are starting to help anybody because there's a reason. Nobody feels it yet because almost all the gains have gone to the people at the very top of the totem pole, and wages are still flat, and labor participation is still too low. That is, unemployment rate's down, but a lot of it is people who quit looking for jobs. So I don't pretend there are no challenges, but what I want to say is we're finally in a position when we don't have to worry about digging out of a hole. We're lying exhausted on the ground. But now we get to plot the future. And all the young people here need to listen to me about this. Now we get to plot the future. The real issue in this election is how are we going to go into the future? Are we going to go back to trickle-down economics? Is it okay with us if all the gains go to people at the very top? Are we going to continue to live with the illusion that if you give people who already have money even more tax cuts, somehow it will miraculously create more jobs? Or are we going to do what has always worked, which is to build America from the middle out, give working people a chance to improve their incomes, create more jobs, and give poor people an honorable way to work in the This is not rocket science. That's what this is about. So, Dan Maffei is not a negative guy. He's a positive guy. He knows he's got a job. And he knows when you have a job, A, you've got to be for something. Like he's for the minimum wage, for equal pay for women, for equal work, for affordable college, for investments in infrastructure, for preserving the jobs that you have got, and he's worked hard, unlike he hard and a lot of other things. He's really done a lot of work in this district. And for creating the conditions in which we can invest more and create more jobs. And that's the job. That's what this whole deal is about. And it really matters. And the only problem he's got is that all over America, a different electorate shows up in presidential years and non-presidential years. In presidential years, the people that show up to vote, in spite of our friends' best efforts to make it harder for the young, the immigrants, the elderly, infirm, and others to vote in many states, we pretty much look like America. And we behave like Americans. We vote to go forward together. In the off-year election, when a lot of our people have a hard time getting their kids to daycare before they go to an early job and doing a lot of other things, the vote goes down, and most of the people that stop voting are our people. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this rally tonight. In New York, because we don't have advance voting, has one of the steepest drops from presidential years to non-presidential years. You cannot let that happen. Our country is better positioned than any other big country in the world to make the most of everybody's comeback. Because of a thousand things, because of our universities like Syracuse, because our kids are doing better in school, more of them are graduating. You wouldn't know it from the headlines, but it's true. Graduation rates going up. Because we are learning again that about 40 years ago we started making a mistake to totally divide academic education from technical education, and we got to put them back together again so that people actually be because we now know that the children of working families without themselves having had higher education and without being able to afford preschool on their own, if we don't have preschool slots available for their kids, and when my granddaughter starts kindergarten, she will have heard 30 million more words than the children of these good working parents are doing everything they can just to keep body and soul together and pay their way. That's why Dan is for preschool education for all American children. That may not be the headline. Should we talk about Ebola? Yes. Should we talk about ISIS? Yes. But anybody tries to get you all stirred up and scared. Do we need to take ISIS seriously? Absolutely. Can we defeat them? Absolutely. Will there be a limit to the number of young people who think it's a real cool idea to blow their whole lives by blowing themselves up? Yes, there will be. We have to make America work. If America works, we'll be a good model for the rest of the world. And people will not want to do the job themselves. If you have the right values, we don't care what your race is, we don't care what your gender is, we don't care what your religion is, we don't care what your sexual orientation is. You can be part of our community if you're willing to work hard to play the field. We cannot do it if we do not learn to show up when there's not a presidential election on the ballot. Right. And it's very interesting in Georgia, state that's been vote trending Republican. Our candidate for the United States Senate yesterday, the last poll I saw, was ahead of the polls. Why? Because an unprecedented number of African Americans who could see that there was a great effort to keep them from voting decided they wanted to vote once. And they wanted to stop it. The way we should respond to emergencies as a country is like grown-ups. We should wait more than 15 minutes to start throwing blame around and settle down and figure out what we're going to do to deal with it. And I have to tell you, I was proud of our governor and the mayor of New York City for the way they handled the doctor who risked his life in Guinea trying to help that This is personal to me, except at election time. My life is our foundation, and it's been wonderful to have Hillary and Chelsea involved in it for the last couple of years, but we have 4 people in Liberia who were there running the AIDS program, and the president asked if they could please stay because they had no health care system. And so they're there, and thank God so far they're all uninfected. And they're helping those people. If we really want to start anything like this from happening again, we ought to help those countries that have honest governments with limited resources to build healthcare systems. Nigeria, with all their problems with Boko Haram and all that, they had an Ebola case. Faster than you could say Nigeria, they had 500 doctors visit 19,000 homes, isolate everybody that needed isolated. Not a single person got it, and they've just been declared Ebola free. That's the way. But that didn't make a 10-second ad, and I didn't heard Dan talking about it. Now, you're right, but I'm just telling you, what makes a country work is what makes your family work. What makes your workplace work, if you like it. What makes your house of worship work. What makes your union work. What makes anything work. When people work together and are honest about their differences and debate with the purpose of getting a decision and doing something, good things happen. Wherever people are working together to get something, good things happen. Wherever in the world people spend all their time fighting and trying to build big walls between themselves, good things don't happen. So the political model that is operating in this off-year election designed to divide us and to make us so upset that steam comes out our ears is not good for us. And the people that want you to stop thinking do not have your best interest in mind. You do not need to be afraid. You need to be determined. You need to be hopeful about America's future. I'm telling you, I spend a lot of time. We work. We sell the world's least expensive AIDS drug in 70 countries. I work with farmers on 3 continents. I'm out there all the time in very remote areas. I work with people who make less than $1 a day. And we found a way to increase their income in 1 year 5-fold. And when people have something to look forward to when they get up in the morning, they're not mad that somebody else is richer than they are. They're happy that their kids have a chance to do better than they did. That they got a chance to send their kids to school. That they can make things better. That's why they're in America. Some people are trying to be in the back in the morning. Since we have some people in my demographic here, besides me, people over 65, I can tell you this. This health care bill has had some problems, but it's done way more good than harm. Is to cut the cost of Medicare and Medicaid and overall health care delivery by improving health care delivery, paying people for performance, not by procedure, and helping seniors stay healthier. We are going, you, the taxpayer, are going to save by 2020 $188 billion in it's a load of bull. What happened is, we're doing a better job than they did of providing health care that's better with better results at lower cost, which brings us closer to our competitors and frees up money to make sure we don't have to raise the retirement age on Social Security, we don't have to cut people on Medicare, we can instead grow together. Every day, look, he practically shakes when he talks about you. Doesn't he? I mean, his whole body, every fiber of his being, all he wants to do is do his job. And he loves that job. But what he loves about that job is when he saves somebody else's job, or he gets somebody else's job, or he gets somebody a better education. He doesn't love the opportunity to hook up some cockamamie ad that'll get you to stop thinking. He wants you to think because he wants you to grow, to prosper, and to do it together. I'm telling you, he has earned re-election. And the only thing I have said this would not be a close race if the same people who voted for president 2 years ago voted for Congress 10 days from now. And if you really want him to be your congressman, I want you to think about this. Every single one of you, between now and Election Day, will pass 100 people you know. Whether you know them well or you know them casually. And a bunch of them will not vote unless you personally ask them and tell them a little bit about what we talked about. You know that's true, don't you? So, this campaign needs volunteers. If you've got time to do organized calling or knocking on doors, I would be grateful. But even if you don't, you're going to be wandering around. You're going to drive to work, you're going to stop and get gas, you're going to go to the grocery store and buy food. You go to the salon and barber shop. You do something, and you're going to see these people. And I am pleading with you. Look how many people are in this room. If everybody in this room, just in this room, ask everybody you come in contact with or talk on the phone, say, don't forget there's an election to move before. Don't forget it's important. Don't forget that Congress will matter. We are coming back economically. The issue is, are we going to come back with more jobs and higher incomes and more opportunity for our young people? Or are we going to come back and show all that statistical growth and those of us at the top of the totem pole get all the benefits? That's really what the election's about. Don't be confused. Everything else is background music. The election is about your future and whether we're going to grow